And good evening, everyone, and welcome in to the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media. I'm Russ Renault, and thanks for joining us again here after a UFC event so we can talk about all the fights for tonight and even look at a few of the cards that we have left available to you on our eBay store and just through watching the show. So appreciate you being in. And so we will take a look at those a little bit later, but first let's talk about this event that's pretty entertaining. Live from St. Louis tonight. So getting away from the Apex, those are always better. And so let's get to the main event. So a big heavyweight matchup between 12th ranked Derek Lewis and number 15 Rodrigo Nascimento. And actually a pretty good fight early on. Nascimento doing some good work in the first round. I think he probably won that first round. And then Derek Lewis coming back and just kind of trying to tee off and get that finish in the second round. So I think Lewis, despite getting taken down late, Nascimento didn't do much with that late in the second round. So I think Lewis probably won the second round just by the fact that he was taking it to Nascimento, landing some shots. So it's probably even going into that third round. And then Derek Lewis doing Derek Lewis things, just putting away Nascimento with the knockout in the third round and extending that record, 15th knockout of his career. That's a record for that division. I believe it may be the knockout record for the entire UFC. So Derek Lewis, and obviously the post-fight celebration, as only Derek Lewis can do it. So if you missed that one, please go back and watch it. And obviously we're going to give away all the results for tonight. So spoiler alert, we just gave away that one. But yeah, so a great win for Derek Lewis against another top 15 opponent. And so it just keeps hanging in there and entertaining. And so it should be, a good thing going forward because that's just a fan favorite and somebody that people love to watch. You're just going to see a lot of fireworks from Derek Lewis. And that was a great thing about this card is that, even though it may not have some of the names on it, but man, there were a lot of finishes, a lot of great finishes, and we'll talk about them here in the rest of the card here in a minute. So we get to the co-main event in the welterweight division, and it was number 11 Joaquin Buckley taking on Nursultan Rizboev, and a unanimous decision here for Joaquin Buckley. Pretty dominant performance for Buckley, and just somebody who continues a rise in that welterweight division and making a name for himself, and just kind of gets better and better each time he goes out there. And that's what you like to see, is just building. I mean, obviously the guy's an athlete. He's chiseled. He's huge, but just keeps showing, a trend upward, and now looking to crack in to that top 10 and see who he can face in that welterweight division, which, might be pretty thin. And so you see after Leon and Bilal that it's kind of wide open after that. And it took so long for Bilal to get his shot just because people kept jumping the line, the rematches with Usman and Edwards. So people like Buckley in these performances kind of get this division moving at a little bit quicker pace, we hope. So this was a great matchup. So I thought this was probably gonna be one of the better fights on the card, and I was dead wrong. So in the light heavyweight division, had Alonzo Menifield and Carlos Ulberg. Alonzo Menifield coming in ranked number 11 in that division, and Ulberg, one of the rookies in the 2023 products. People really keep an eye on him, and for good reason. And he showed why tonight. I don't know what Alonzo Menifield was doing. He just charged in and really went after it at the beginning, and Ulberg caught him. And I mean, it just uncharacteristic. I haven't seen that from Menifield before, and it just ill-advised. And Ulberg, just showed how great he is, and now he is 11-1 overall in his career, and so just a meteoric rise for him. He's going to be ranked, you would assume, on Tuesday when those rankings come out that Ulberg will be in there. And that's just a phenomenal performance by him. 12 seconds in, getting the knockout of Alonzo Menifield. just put him right to sleep with that head kick. So great job for Carlos Ulberg and all those people who have those good rookie cards of him. Good job for holding on to those, because that's probably who you're looking at on this card that really showed the most flash, and I'm sure he got a bonus after this. I haven't looked at it yet, but obviously that should be one of the performances of the night right there. So moving right along in the card, Diego Ferreira taking care of Mateusz Rebecki, just getting a knockout right before the bell there in the third round. Just 9 seconds from that fight being over anyway. Sean Woodson with a unanimous decision against Alex Caceres. So Woodson might put himself in that top 15 now in the featherweight division, with Caceres being ranked 15th coming in. And then to finish off that main card, you had Waldo Cortez Acosta with a unanimous decision over Rubeles Despain. We've seen the power from Despain, but as I pointed out a couple of weeks ago, the technique is just not there yet with the power. And so he just took some wild shots, was able to connect with them his first couple of appearances in the octagon, but with a little bit more experienced opponent, able to take advantage of that. And so Waldo Cortez Acosta, let's take a look at those stats. Almost 10 minutes of control time, landed 130 total strikes, doubling up on the significant strikes. So really one-way traffic in that matchup. And really kind of a surprise result there in the prelims, as we got the feature prelim. Chase Hooper getting a win with a submission, the arse choke in the second round over Vyacheslav Borshev. So a lightweight matchup there, and Hooper just kind of reigniting his star a little bit and pulling off what some would consider an upset there. So Hooper getting a big win. Esteban Ribovic with a kick on Terrence McKinney, getting a knockout in the first round, coming quickly, 37 seconds in. And I said a kick on Ulberg. I was thinking about Ribovic on that knockout, and Ulberg obviously did his with punches in the 12 seconds in the first round. And the other fight we're going to talk about is Tabitha Ricci getting a split decision over Tisha Pennington. Pennington coming back after giving birth last year to her child with the bantamweight champion Raquel Pennington. This was a close fight, and a lot of people had that going the other way with Tisha, formerly Torres, now Pennington. Had a lot of people had her winning that. That's why you see a split decision. Obviously, a lot of people haven't gone a lot of different ways, but the only people who mattered were the three judges. So Tabitha Ricci, ranked number 11 in the strawweight division, picks up another win against a big name, but obviously Pennington coming back from being off for a little while. So not the most impressive performance for Ricci, but gets a win nonetheless, and will keep moving on in the strawweight division. So a pretty great night in St. Louis, to be honest. Fight night cards, when they go to a location other than the Apex, they tend to be outstanding. You put a few more featured bouts on that card, you want the place to be packed, because the Apex is going to be as packed as it can be, but it's just not the same as being in a city that doesn't see the UFC a whole lot. So this one really delivered. I thought it was a great fight night card for St. Louis. And so now we look ahead and we get to fight night next week, which returns to the Apex. A little less stellar. Edson Barboza, Laron Murphy, a featherweight matchup, headlining that one. Just not a lot of juice to this one. Just some of the names on here: Chaos Williams in that co-main, Adrian Yanez, and a women's top 12 matchup with Luana Pinheiro, ranked number 9 in the strawweight division, against number 12 Angela Hill. The disappointing thing for us is Haley Cowan will not be on the card. She had scratch from that fight with Tamaris Vidal, broke her ankle a few weeks ago, and so obviously we're big Haley Cowan fans here, as you well know if you've been watching the show. So former Baylor Bear, so we support the only one who is in the UFC. So we look forward to that. But to her return, wish her well and want her to get back as soon as possible, because she's only been in there one time and just keep having these issues come up over and over again in training. So we just hope that she can move past that at some point in her career. So then the big one is UFC 302, June 1st in Newark. And lightweight title on the line with Islam Makhachev defending against the number 4 ranked contender Dustin Poirier, just because nobody else is available after some of the results the last few weeks. Oliveira, he won't be available. And then Gaethje and all these guys that have fought. Oliveira lost. But just none of those guys are going to be ready. So it kind of leaves Poirier in this spot, and that the last chance at an undisputed title could, possibly. You can't see Poirier having another shot after this if he doesn't get it done against Makhachev here in a few weeks. So then the co-main event, middleweight matchup, former champion Sean Strickland against number 7 Paulo Costa, Randy Brown in action, Tatsuro Taira, that's a big one, against Joshua Van, as Taira keeps moving up, and Alessandro Pantoja has kind of cleaned out that division before he even got the belt. So Taira's kind of the one that I have an eye on of looking at a title shot down the line. And then I think that middleweight matchup between number 9 Roland Dolidze and number 12 Anthony Hernandez is a big one as well. Grant Dawson, Joe Selecki. Don't know the order of those fights yet, but those should be the ones to keep an eye out for at UFC 302. Then Fight Night goes on the road again, getting away from the Apex on June 8th. Don't know the main event yet in Louisville, but Raul Rosas Jr., Ricky Tercios, about those supposed to be scheduled a few months ago. That one comes back onto the schedule. Dominic Reyes, Dustin Jacoby is on that one. John Castaneda, one of the rookies from last year to look out for. And then we got another fight night, June 22nd, from Saudi Arabia. And obviously they're going to make this one kind of a bigger deal. First time in Saudi Arabia, so it's going to be a big card with Robert Whittaker and Hamzat Chimaev in the middleweight division, Sergey Pavlovich, Alexander Volkov, a huge heavyweight matchup, Johnny Walker, Volkan Ozdemir, light heavyweight matchup, Kelvin Gastelum, Daniel Rodriguez, Shara Magomedov, and Ihor Pretoria. So that's the fights we know for June 22nd. That's a great main card, and that probably should be what the main card is, unless they add some other giant fight to this one, but shaping up to be a great event. And obviously UFC 303, June 29th, from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, Jamal Hill, Kayla Roundtree Jr., in a light heavyweight matchup, women's bantamweight matchup between Mayra Bueno Silva and Macy Chiasson, Cub Swanson back in action, Joe Pyfer, Marc-Andre Barriot. That's a great middleweight fight. And then Michelle Waterson Gomez, Jillian Robertson, top 15 women's strawweight matchup. The fights that we don't have any information on yet, as far as fights go, we know where they are. UFC 304, July 27th from Manchester in the UK. Likely going to be Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad, I would imagine. Then Tom Aspinall against somebody, a warm body, maybe Cyril Gane. Go crazy, go Alex Pereira. That would take over the main event status from Leon and Bilal. I would hope. I mean, one's an interim title, one's an undisputed title, but still, I mean, that's just huge. So who knows what's going to go on. There's a lot of things that could happen in Manchester on July 27th. Got a fight night August 3rd in Abu Dhabi. And then UFC 305, August 17th in Perth, Australia. And UFC 308, October 26th from Abu Dhabi as well. So we just don't know anything about those 4 events yet. And as soon as something gets scheduled, we'll let you know right here on the show. That's what we do. We wrap up, that night's fights right after. As soon as we can get back on, we kind of get on here a little bit later tonight after the events. These were a little bit earlier today. Usually, with a regular schedule, if you're talking about a Vegas event that starts at 9 o'clock Central Time, then we'll be on around 11:45 midnight, because that's when they end. But obviously today's a little bit earlier, but we kind of stick to that late time schedule anyway, just because that's consistency for our show. So yeah, that is all that we have here coming up. And we'll be back here next week after that Apex card, talk a little bit about that, but really the big deal next week could be the UFC 302 preview with Makhachev and Poirier. So we'll take a look at a little bit, since we're talking about Makhachev, some of the cards we have. We don't have a whole lot left, but everything can be found on our eBay store, Orange Fire Lots of Lots. If you want to reach out about anything, any questions about cards, any question about anything at all, really, just reach out to me at russ@orange-fire.com, and you can find our website, orange-fire.com. You can find the show there. Also, if you look over my shoulder, we have the Houston area brewery maps that another division of the company. Those are for sale on there as well. So kind of all in one-stop shop for everything Orange Fire Media. So we do have Islam Makhachev. This one's numbered to 49. And obviously there's, I don't want to pull these out tonight. We may do that next week though. Just tease a little bit, but Islam Makhachev a lot here. And obviously that's a featured card, the teal. And just since we're talking about Islam, we'll go with his coach. We do have the Khabib Nurmagomedov select from 2022, Octagon side, tie-dye, number 25. And this was actually a card that we pulled a long time ago, but it was damaged. It was like a print line that went right across Khabib's head. And we sent that off and got it back. And it came back with a pristine version. Panini encapsulated it. So I have not broken the seal. Would never do that. But some other Khabib numbered cards in here, in this packet, that we'll pull those out next week. But also got this one, the Absolute Memorabilia from 2021, and this one's numbered to 49 with the auto. And the difference between the one that I pulled and the others I've seen is this one has this gold patch. A lot of the other ones just have black or dark gray patches all across, but this one actually has a gold. So it kind of makes this one a little bit different from the ones I've seen listed anyway. So there's a few Khabib numbered cards in there, and then there's this whole stack that goes with it. So I kind of break everything up by fighter and list it on our eBay store, so you can find everything that I have there. One thing that I don't have listed, we had a Michael Chandler lot a while back, and we had a slab in there of an auto. Somebody bought the slab without buying everything else, so I do have a Michael Chandler auto left, some rookie cards as well. So I don't have those relisted yet. Holding off on a Hamzat lot and a Shavkat Rakhmonov lot as well. So there's some stuff that I do have. It's just, it's just time and energy to get it all up there, taking the pictures, getting everything up there. Just haven't been able to get it back around to that yet. So if there's anybody you're looking for in particular, let me know, and I can see what I have. So you can also look at everything that is on there. So I appreciate you just taking a look and seeing what all we offer. And like I said, if you don't see, there's also a Conor McGregor lot. We showed that last week. We did show the Michael Chandler cards we have left. There's a couple of Conor McGregor numbered cards that we have in a pretty good stack as well. We want to get numbers up so that we can do our subscriber card giveaways. We've got 7 lots of fighters, all former champions, former or current champions. John Jones, who else in there? Glover Teixeira, Robert Whitaker, Holly Holm, Miesha Tate. There's somebody, Justin Gaethje. So all those are in there. Every one of those is about 15 to 20 cards each, and there's a number card in all of those. There's actually 2 Miesha Tate numbered cards in her lot. So I want to give those away one day. So if you have friends who love talking about UFC, love staying up a little bit late because they're a little bit jacked up from the event, then come here and we'll talk about it. This is your show. I want to talk about the stuff that you want to talk about. So you can leave comments, questions, and we'll talk about, like I said, we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about here on the UFC Fight Cards podcast. So we do tend to go a little bit shorter when we're not talking about a pay-per-view event. And so that's going to wrap us up for this Saturday evening. I love it when the events are a little bit earlier, so we're not going too late and into the next morning on the show. So appreciate you dropping by. And like I said, next week we'll be on here as soon as that event from the Apex wraps up, right after the main event between Edson Barboza and Laron Murphy. Featherweight matchup there next weekend from the Apex. So hopefully you'll visit the website and go visit the eBay store and see what we have in there, and come back here next week and we'll talk about those fights and obviously UFC 302. I'm Russ Renaud. This has been the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much, everybody.